Ja jestem specjalistą, no to miałem wszystko pod kontrolą, nie? Tylko żeby były emocje, nie? Dobra. To teraz już były wszystkie te szefy, no to na drugą wyspę, to jedziemy na trzecią wyspę. Tutaj znowu będą trochę tych bossów. To jest pszczoła.
Hello everybody, it's Mike and we are slowly starting the stream. Hello everybody, it's Mike and we are slowly starting the stream. Okay. Let's see if the camera will work or not. Oh, okay, we have a lot of light on my face, but I don't think I can do much about this. Let's see. How's your weekend going, guys? Okay, so I'm gonna play the trailer in the background, so there will be something to look at other than my face. To just loop. So there are some gameplay elements there if you wanted to take a look. That's what we have for now. Okay, let me just prepare everything so I see as much as possible on one screen. Okay. So I get all of the questions from the Kickstarter, from social media, you know, everywhere that I could, and put them into one document. I'm gonna read the question and answer it, but if you have any more other questions that are not there, or do you want me to, you know, expand on something, to tell more about any specific thing, then let me know, and I will. Okay, so let's start. We have one of the very first questions from Discord. What special items can backers hope for? There is a reward, I believe it's $100 reward right now, that says that the backers will get a special weapon and a special charm, right? And we will prepare like different versions for you, for the backers from this tier and up, and we'll make a poll. Basically, we'll ask you what would you like to get. We'll try to get these items to work, not be OP or anything like that, so you can actually use them, and that will be only for you. Like nobody else will get these, and they'll have some special lore in the description, stuff like that. And there's a follow-up question to that: how Kickstarter exclusive weapons impact the gameplay? We are thinking that maybe we'll do some more experimental weapons, some weapons that, and these charms that maybe you could help us, you know, polish. So some more strange designs, something that works slightly different than the rest of the weapons that we have so far. We have a huge like variety of options when we create these weapons and then charms, so there's a lot that we can do, and you know, with your help, you know, maybe we can create something nice enough to include this later in the game. Who knows, it will really depend on you. How would you think about this, feel about this? And another question, I think this one is, yeah, also from the Discord. Why the first stretch goal is so expensive? Why it costs us 25, right? Okay. The reason for that is that while the initial goal is there to fund the staff of freelancers, the work for the freelancers, with this update, we need to basically get everybody on board and do a lot of work. This is a free DLC basically, with some nice updates that can expand on the gameplay. And well, it's just more expensive, right? Just more expensive. We are planning to add a smaller stretch goal. We had an idea what we could do, with smaller money, with less work, but that could still be nice to have in the game. Mainly monsters, we could chop, some of the bigger stretch goals into smaller parts, and do this like that. So we can bring some of the stuff that we plan to bring later, before in smaller packages. Hello, Zarish. Okay. Another question. This was also from Discord. Will the game be finished without stretch goals? Yes. Yes, the game will be finished. The launch version will be a full game. It's not that we are chopping the game into pieces and then try to sell it to you in parts. No, this is not the case. What we are doing right now is we are actually polishing the game. Everything is pretty much done. We have an alpha, and what we are doing right now are more assets, visual polish, cutscenes, things like that, but these are all like extra stuff, right? This is all that just adds to the overall value of the game, but the game itself is pretty much done. There are some extensive QA tests for everybody that of you, the backers who get the, I believe, $30 tier and up. You'll get access to this build that we are preparing right now. This will be delivered to you right after the Kickstarter, probably somewhere around a week after the Kickstarter or something like that. So we'll make sure that this is, it's playable, it's bugs free, so you can focus on stuff like balancing, like the feel and stuff like that. But sorry. This will be a full game. You're not gonna get like Act 1 and then wait another, I don't know, 6 months for something like that, but this will be a full game. This is a question from the chat, from Twitch. Are you planning to show alpha or beta on some kind of event like Gamescom, PGA, this is, a Polish event, or something? I don't know. Gamescom is around the corner, so I think that's not possible. Events are kinda tricky because they cost a lot, but you don't get too much out of them, So we decided not to really spend too much money on that. And instead focus on the game and building on the community on the internet, especially on Discord. So if you want to be a part of that, I strongly suggest you go and join us. Okay, so another question from Discord. Yeah, I guess so. How long do we want to support the game? How long? The plan is to get at least 3 expansion packs, I would call them. I don't want to call them DLCs because that will give you a wrong impression. They will be free updates, and the quality of them and what they will feature is really up to how well will perform the Kickstarter, how well the game will sell initially. But this is probably something like a year and a half after the release. That's our hope and publishers' hope, for the support of the game. Magim asks here on Twitch, are there going to be boss fights in the game? If so, how are they going to be handled? I don't think there will be boss fights in the game. I can ask this because, you know, when we were first showing you the game with the first Kickstarter, we had ideas for this boss fights, but there was a time when the game was more focused on combat other than stealth. And right now we are pushing, you know, hard on the stealth aspect, and boss and stealth, you know, it doesn't work very much and not very well. So I don't think so, you know, I don't think so. Okay, another question. What the expansions will bring to the table? These are not like additional stuff that will happen after the main story. All of this, these things that we will add with the expansions will probably focus on what players can do in between story missions. So like we have this camping, right, mechanic, where you stop in a region and you can craft, or you can rest, or you can scavenge in the region, but you need to set up a camp. There can be more stuff done to this mechanic, and the first stretch goal, the first expansion, will be focused on that, because that's a big part of the game, and we have some ideas, you know, how to handle that. Another one would be, you know, like a completely new region or regions in an area on the map, where you have new types of enemies to encounter, basically like a big optional side quests area, right? And so on and so forth. We'll probably talk about these stretch goals and these expansions more in the future if we fund the game, and then we'll try to, you know, promote these stretch goals as much as we can. If you are following us for some time, then you probably remember some of the ideas for like sea-based creatures or like mutated villagers. These are the stuff that we want to add, right? With their own storylines, basically. What the expansion? Okay, that was this question. What after the campaign? Right after the campaign, the backers that you know, wanted to be the part of the closed beta will get their keys to play that, and there will be 2 rounds of these closed tests. You'll get access to a closed channel on our Discord where we could discuss this. You can give us your impressions, we can discuss about this, you can post your ideas, things like that. Mr. Paparos is asking, is current one the last iteration of world map? There will be some UX changes to that, like the graphic with the blue land and the white, or maybe not white, but cream ocean. That's the one, not the one that you see in the trailer. In that we had to make this trailer before I made these changes. But regarding the map will stay like that, but there will be some changes to the UI. Right now it's a little bit clunky, and we want to improve the, you know, the experience in that matter. Probably in your testing build, the one that you get right after the campaign ends, you will still have this mechanic with this more clunky way of dealing with the travel. But well, you know, we have a lot, you know, to handle right now, and there's still a little bit of time before the release, so this is one of the smaller stuff that we want to fix before that. Another question, there was, I think, some confusion about the platforms, you know, on which this game will be after the launch, and we've updated the page, you know, to tackle that. And the 2 main platforms will be PC and Switch. These are 2 that we just have to have them, and we already started porting on Switch. So if you pledge whatever, you know, tier that gets you access to the game, you will be able to choose what key you want. Is it a PC, Steam or GOG, or a Switch? And if you fund the the campaign, we'll probably we will do PS4 and Xbox One. and with the funding we'll do this quicker. You know, we just have to do this, do these ports. There's some not completely clear ways how to tackle, especially the Xbox One. We have plan for PS4 port. Xbox One is something that we need to take a closer look, but you know, our plan and publisher's plan is to get this game on all the major platforms. So that's how it would look like. Xbox One and PS4 will probably be will go later. You know, Switch and PC will be launched at the same time. Magim asks how many types of enemies are going to be in the game on release before the expansion packs. I think we have seen 4 so far. I think that right now we have 7, if I count correctly, and we want to add another one, like in the nearest future, like next week or something like that. You know, start working on this. And we'll probably do some variants. So let's see at this screen. You see this hound-like enemies with beaks, you know, on their heads, like bird faces, hound bodies. I think that we can do some variations on that with different types of attacks, with different status effects that they can do. But right now I would say 7 or 8, and then more. And right now we've made the change that these enemies do not like have one attack, and that's what they do. This was a way we do this for quite some time, but lately we changed this. So right now they have like the AI have access to different stuff, and they, depending on the situation on the battlefield, they will adjust. So they are not so predictable anymore. And this is, you know, the path that we want to explore more. So enemies that play a specific role, but still, you know, have some tricks up the sleeves. Okay, so what about the story? Will there be any twist? I've spent a lot of time, you know, writing the story for this game, and I really hope that you will like it. This is not just something that, you know, pushes you to, you know, finish the game. I tried to make this as engaging as possible. Hello, Mariusz. There are like 4 main parts of the story. There's a short prologue, 2 big acts, Act 1 and Act 2, and then we have an epilogue. So far I've heard that this is good. There is a guy, Data Alert, on our Discord, who is doing proofreading for me, and he said that this is good and he's a writer, so, you know, let's hope that, that the rest of you also like it. The story was actually one of the main factors that pushed me, you know, to make this game, and I just hope that I didn't, you know, screw this up completely and you will like it. The story will be presented in conversations and sometimes in events. These are like descriptions of what the character that we play as sees and what happens, but a lot of the story will take place during conversation. I try to show you. I think here you can take a look at. Yeah, this is it. An example of a conversation. We have an NPC that we talk to. This is the name of the event because there are different quest lines, and this will be shown here. Here we can see to who we talk to, and, you know, what does she talk to us, and then we have our responses. Sometimes it's only 1, sometimes it's 2. Depends on the part of the story where. Thanks, Justin. Marius said that it should be to 200% already. Well, you know, it's thank you, thank you, but it's not that easy to get this much money these days on the Kickstarter. But what you can do, what you all can do, is to share the Kickstarter link, tell your friends, and then maybe it will go quicker. Who knows? Okay, there was one question. Is it steampunk? Right? Is this game steampunk? It's not. Okay, I'm gonna start this bluntly. No, it's not. The world of Alder's Blood is like based, it's reference to 19th century in our world, so it's a little bit further than the time reference for steampunk, classic steampunk at least. And the technology in this world is maybe not exactly what we had in 19th century, but very close. These guys had to develop their stuff with the constant threat of the beasts, from the wild. They are only safe within the walls of their cities, so they had to adjust to these circumstances, right? So some stuff may be a little bit more advanced, some are not. Like, for example, the military doctrine is pretty much outdated compared to ours from the same time. I don't know if we have some. Oh, here is an example of some of the soldier stuff from the time. So you can see we have some like Napoleonic era type of military in this world. Bolt action rifles, for example, are a novelty. This is something completely new. Single action stuff is the standard. The military, as they need, a lot of the stuff made cheaply. They still use percussion locks on their guns, and at the start of the game we'll have stuff like that. But everything is breech loaded. So if you are like a weapon buff, and then you know what that means. If you are not, then I'll explain. You have two ways to load your gun. You can load this like a musket, from the end of the barrel, and that's called muzzle loading. And you can load from the start of the barrel from your side, and this is called breech loading. And all of the weapons in Alder's Blood are breech loaded, but still single shot. So that's a little bit of history for you. I like guns. I like guns. This sounds bad, like very American. This is something that I'm interested in, but from the mechanical perspective, just like how the mechanisms work from that time period, and they also fit very well with the thematics of the game. At first, we were trying to make this based on the 17th century, but then there was a question: okay, how a guy within a forest, when there's thick bushes, a lot of plants everywhere, will load a gun that needs to be loaded from the front. So sometimes stuff like that change the aesthetics. Okay, so that was quite elaborate answer to a question: is it a steampunk? Okay, so there was a question, I think, on the Kickstarter. Yes, no, that was still on the Discord. What do we play, and what were the inspirations for Alder's Blood? I'm gonna play this because... what do we play? We play a lot of different genres, a lot of games. Not all of them are tactical based or strategy games. Kamil Wójcik is a huge fan of strategy games. That's pretty much all that he plays. I try to play as many games as possible. Different genres, just to have a wider perspective. Like most of us played Monster Hunter series. That was kind of sometimes an inspiration for us. Not really, this is a different approach, but thematically it has some similarities. You still hunt beasts, and you are called a hunter, right? When it comes to platforms, we are pretty much all multi-platform, so we don't have problems, with consoles or anything like that. I'm a huge fan of Switch. That's why we'll get a Switch release with Alder's Blood. I really would like to see this played on that, and the first tests were looking pretty nice. The game runs fast, looks good, if not even better than on PC. So yeah. What were the inspirations? There are like two things that I could consider inspirations, like the thematic inspirations, you know, to the world, and like more of like technical stuff. So let's maybe start with this first, this thematical Brotherhood of the Wolves. If you remember this movie, I believe it's a French movie from the 90s or maybe early 2000s. I really like this. This is based on a real event that happened in France. There was a beast of something. I don't speak French, so I won't even try to pronounce this. And he started killing people, and there was France, the government sent a guy to investigate, and the rest is of course fiction. But you can see some of the aesthetics there that we kind of use here, so like ruins in the forest, guys in this leather suits covering their faces, fighting in the rain or some things like that. Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. Dracula, you know, Bram Stoker's Dracula, of course. I think this is pretty much obvious, right? Anything that includes vampire hunters or werewolf hunters. But other than that, I don't think so. It's hard to say because everybody knows this theme, like of this vampire hunter. But if you start to try to get like any specific piece of media, you know, this creates kind of a problem, and that was one of the reasons why we chose this project to work on, and not others that we had on the table. And when it comes to technical stuff, if you like delved a little bit into our past, you may find that we were doing some mobile games back then under different brands, then after under Shockwork brand as well. We are not fan of this. We weren't very happy with the results, so we switched to that. But we are thinking about making a bigger PC game for a long time, even when we are doing this mobile games. And there was a time when I finally started playing Darkest Dungeon, and I was looking at this from a different perspective, right? Not from the player's perspective, but from the developer perspective. And I started to see some similarities to what we did with this mobile games, right? And I was, oh, okay, why are we doing this mobile shit? Sorry, when we can do this, what we can do, what we can see in Darkest Dungeon, right? So, and we started like doing dissections, you know, on the games, on the indie games, and it turns out that yeah, we can handle something like that, right? We can handle making a game like that, and finally we made these decisions. Okay, let's start, right? And that's the start of Alder's Blood. You should check Vampire Hunter D if you haven't yet. It's thematically relevant as well, I think. I'm not sure, maybe I've seen like an episode or two from this, I'm not sure. Justin asks, who is the main character and what is the story? We play as Chief, and Chief is like this is a character, this is like his, you know, nickname, right? That's how they call him. We are like the commander, like maybe not commander. This is not a good word, because you know, hunters are like a group of people. It's more like a family or something like that. So they elect the one that will lead them, and we play as a guy. Oh my god, sorry, as a guy or a girl. It's up to you, right? We will try to get some customization to your character. You could pick your avatar, you know, your real name, but you know, they will call you Chief anyway. And the story starts with Duke. This is the guy that talks in this trailer, and the guy that you've probably seen in some of this guy in the early key arts. So the story starts with him. He's a badass hunter that was a part of our crew, but he just left at some point, right? And we start the game playing as him in the tutorial when he's like very sure that in order to end this onslaught onto the beast, he need to find the rotting corpse of the god somewhere in the place called the crown and kill it, you know, like for sure, right? Because it's still there, it's corrupting the land and needs to be taken care of. But instead of finding this corpse, this god, he gets visions, you know, like he's not sure if these are the visions of the future or the past, and he loses his sight. You know, he gains this different type of insight, right, or something like that, but he cannot hunt anymore. And right after this, we get back to our playable character, Chief, and he or she is looking for the Duke, and that's where we start playing, you know, like for real, right? We get our small crew of hunters, and we go to the ground to find Duke, and then the story starts play out. Right now, at the beginning of the game, Chief doesn't know much about you know, all this god rotting corpse things. This was Duke's idea, this was Duke's agenda or whatever, and this was not our quest, not Chief's quest, and this only starts to become our quest because Duke cannot do this anymore, and he kinda like puts this this quest on us. But you know, Duke will accompany us throughout this journey, and he will serve, you know, as a how to call this? I've lost the word in English. Sorry. Oh, he will give us advice, right? Things like that. He will work as a contact with some of the influential people in the area that we operate, because this is important. This area is not a place where a lot of hunters dwell into. Duke was one of the few that really got there. And we'll be working, we need to get to know some of the people that run the city, the first city of men, and that's why they are so arrogant. People don't like hunters in this world, and we'll have to work for them to get some recognition so they could start you know, treating us seriously and our ideas seriously. So that's how the story goes, you know. So we need to persuade people to help us get rid of this threat of this rotting god, spreading disease, corruption throughout the land, and these monsters that are basically, you know, the effect of that. Because this is the only way to stop it, right? And this is not the first time the humanity faced something that's called the Flood, which is this like huge attack of monsters. But this time they probably won't make it. Basically the population is just too small, and even their technology is not enough anymore, right? They lack the spirit, they lack the manpower, and it's either now or never, right? It's either now or everybody dies. So that's the story. That's the story, more or less. Without spoiling anything. This is what you get in the first minutes of gameplay. And basically that's what we talk about in social medias right anyway. There was a question about Linux support, and there probably will be, but you will have to get the Steam key for that, I think. There is something called, I don't remember how it's called, I'm not a programmer, so sorry, but this game is made in Unity, and Steam and Unity has some fancy way to play this on Linux without it being like Linux built. So if you're a Linux user, you probably know a little bit more about this than I do. But the first tests were successful, it runs smoothly without any problems, so yeah. I don't think there will be a big problem with that. Another question was about localization. Someone was asking on our Kickstarter, will this game will be available in French? Yes, in French and in some other languages. We'll update the page next week with a list of the languages that this game will support. I know that there will be French, German, Spanish, like for sure, Polish as well, because we are from Poland, so that's kind of obvious, right? Probably some more, but I'm not sure, so that I want to like promise you something that I'm not entirely sure about. That this is something that our publisher is taking care of. But we have a translation system ready there. So basically, it's just a matter of hiring enough localization partners that could handle all of the needed languages. There is also a lot of questions. Do we need an audio guy, right? Do we need a music composer or audio effects, right? Sound effects guy. After this campaign, yeah, we'll be looking for some more music. We have like a bare minimum. This is one of the reasons why we started this campaign, and to increase the value of the product, the value of the game. Music, more music is one of the ways to get this. And someone asked, I don't know where, will you do a quality check for all the text before the final version? Yes, we're already doing that. There is one person that I already talk about, Ben, that alert on Discord if you want to ask him something. And he's also the voice of Duke in the trailer, by the way. And he's doing the proof reading of that, and changing the grammar, spelling, stuff like that. Adding some more style to all of the text in the game, so it wouldn't sound too bad or anything like that. He's a native speaker, so it should be all nice and well. Okay, so I ran out of questions from the Kickstarter. So if you have anything, that's a great time to ask them. Come on, you have some questions, like for sure. We are 57% funded right now. Nice. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much. Oh, what is the expected playtime of the game? Right, this is one of the questions that I forgot to add there. We are looking at 40 hours of gameplay for this game. You're looking at 40 hours right now. In the release version of the game, we'll have, I believe, 75 or something along these lines of missions. And we'll be adding some more, but that's the goal, 40 hours of gameplay, and then plus some more with the expansions, if you want to, of course, 100% the game, right? If you want to just go through the main story, that will not require this much time. But if you want to make all of the optional missions, all of the additional content, all of the content in the launch, that will be 40 hours. There is a possibility for a physical release, and there are some other stuff that are like, how to say this, they're so like minimal value, you know, that you need to have in the game, and so 40 hours is like something that would require us to justify this physical release. Marius says that visually it reminds him of Don't Starve Together. Well, thank you, because I love this game. He says that it's very atmospheric and there is some good music. Yeah, we're very happy with the music so far. But it's just not enough. Will there be some branching of the story? For example, will you be able to make some decisions that unlock some missions or close others? Yes, there will be. There are 4 great houses in the city that you can work for, but you won't be able to like please everybody. You know, there's no way that everybody will be happy, and you won't be able to build loyalty fully with everybody. So there is some replayability there, and you know then we'll see. You know, our system for creating a story is you know quite extensive. You know, it's big and allows us to create some cool stuff. But there is always time constraints, and this is pretty much the only thing that is keeping us back. But you know, there are always updates, right? There are always updates. Maybe you'll add some more branching stories. Who knows? There are also some events that will pop up along the way, and they always have a choice, you know, in them. I know this is not exactly what you meant there, but there are some branching elements. And Mariusz asks how big our team is. 6 people. You know, the Shrockwork is 6 people. 3 programmers, 2 concept artists, illustrators, and 1 social media person. You can take a look at our Kickstarter campaign page. You know, we have somewhere along the end of the main page. There is a photo that we took last week, and there are our names and you know, like what position we hold within the team. So 6 people, and recently we're joined by 2 interns, and huge shout out to Emilia and Agata, because they are huge help in this very stressful time. Very close to being finished, you know, with the game. Yeah, it's no problem, Mariusz. No, it's no problem. This was, you know, at the end of the campaign. Not many people scroll all the way down, right? So yeah. So that's us. We are from Lublin, Poland. We are working from home. We don't have like an office. We're working in the office for some time, and our, you know, previous job. That's where we get to know each other. But we decided this is like a completely not needed cost. Justin says that Diana is a cool person. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. And you know, the reason that she's all here is because of her work. You know, and we'll be forever grateful. Yeah. So Diana, if you're watching us, yay! Yeah, Diana is you posting the updates on the Kickstarter, you know, answering your questions on social media, creating all of these cool posts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Imgur, blah blah blah, Reddit. You know, there's a lot of that. And right now it's probably a quite stressful time for her with this Kickstarter. Sitting next to me, you won't see her, but there is my fiancé, Alex, that created all of this cool artwork that you can see. All of these NPCs, you know, these illustrations for the kiosks, or basically any piece of an art that you can see is work of hers. And this was a great way to build up the atmosphere of the game, you know, because we can, with this illustration, we can show some stuff that we won't be able to show in the gameplay, right? I'm mainly responsible for all these animations, most of the terrain elements on the maps, UI, stuff like that. I'm also, you know, an illustrator, concept artist, right now an animator, but more from necessity than like from my experience. I also do main work on the game design. Kamil Wójcik is helping me, you know, with game design with some of the more complicated things that require a lot of numbers, you know, and careful planning. But Kamil is also a programmer responsible for the strategy layer, so everything that you can see while camping, traveling through the world, you know, talking with people, that's his work. The handling of the story in the game, this is done in a very specific way. If you want to take a look, we have a devlog about this. That you know, it's required. It allows us to create all of these branching events and stuff like that, unlocking some stuff. Pretty nice tool. There's Kamil Jas and Jana, who are a couple, and they are working on the tactical missions, so everything that includes fighting monsters using weapons, that's their part of the cake, right? But they also do some other stuff, you know. Right now we are in the place when we cannot, you know, just pick a part and focus on that. Right now we need to work way closer and help each other with stuff that we don't have time for. Bagim asks, how will the hunter hideouts from the first stretch goal work? Magim, I think that you backed our first Kickstarter, so you probably remember that there was an idea like that. Basically, right now, when we are traveling through the world, we can stop in a region and we can scavenge resources. We increased the number of resources to something like 5 or 6, I don't remember. I think 5, yeah, 5. But we need to stop there and send some hunters to scavenge, and this takes time, and this can result in an accident, right? So there is always a risk of getting your hunters hurt, you know, outside of the missions. So when you build this hideout, you can gain some like passive income from the resources that are there, and when you come back there, you can, you know, gather stuff there. I would like to, you know, add an options where you can like select a hunter, leave him in the hideout, and this would increase this passive income of these resources. Justin is asking, is this made in Unity engine? Yes, it is. Right now we switched to version 2018, yeah, 2018.4, I believe. This is the stable version on 2018, which is pretty nice. There are some nice changes. So just if you are a developer, then I can suggest, you know, this version, because this version will have like a long-term support from Unity. Not sure how 2019 stands right now. This one's nice. More questions, please. Next week, on Friday, I'll go back. Justin is using 24.3F. So I think we are using 4.2F. I believe so. Let me check. Yeah, 4 to F1. Okay, so back to what I was saying. On Friday, I'll go back to the office of our publisher and we'll do another round of streaming. There we'll let Dave play, some of the missions. We'll see, how he will handle the recent changes. Because the last time he played, he's our project manager, so he has to play, the builds that we present him with. Last time he played, there was some completely different balance of stuff, and right now there is way more weapons, and some of them were completely different. Monsters can do much more stuff, so this can be fun. Marge says that he's using 5.6. I think it's not bad. This versus support intent. This version support. Yeah. This, but I think that last time we checked, the Nintendo was supporting a lot of this version, so you don't have to be worried, about this. This version that we work on is also supported. So that's not a problem. So yeah, so on Friday, next Friday, there will be some gameplay streaming. This will be earlier than today. This will be somewhere around, I believe 2 p.m. But we'll record this. So I know this is not the best time, to watch this. A lot of people may be at work. But we'll record this and post this on the Kickstarter. And Mariusz asked who made music. Music was made by our great friend Adam Waleszyński from he was a part of Tides from Nebula band. They made some really nice music. I'm not sure he's still part of the team. There was some going back and forth. I'd have to ask him, but yeah, this is his work. Everything that you hear, this is one of the music pieces that he made that is playing in the background. This is the music that you'll hear on tactical missions. We have 3 other, one that will be played on the menus in the strategy layer, and one for the main menu. And what else? I don't remember. I don't remember. So this is only this. A little bit of this music, we need more. Some variations. And since there was some questions about, how this expansion will work, maybe I can tell a little bit more about this. I think that probably with this, maybe even before this update, we'll see, because we find a way to make this a little bit quicker. We'll bring back research as well, but in a slightly different way than it was in our initial prototype. I think that it would be nice to chop all the items and weapons into some categories, types. I don't know how to call this exactly. We'll need to find a word for that. But we could have some items that are from a category hunter stuff, military stuff, and things like that. And then we could have our wagon, research wagon in our caravan, and we could research more of this hunter stuff. So you could have a tree of hunter equipment that you can unlock and craft. Justin asked, what was the biggest code bug in the game? The biggest mystery for us that we found out by mistake, I don't know, maybe not by mistake, but accidentally, was a bug when the game would freeze when you start to exit it. nobody knew what was happening, why. We thought that maybe it was a problem with Unity Analytics and it crashed, when on the event of exiting the game. But no, that wasn't the case. And we had this funny situation when only one person could build the game from their PC and it wouldn't crash, but there was some problem with starting the game, then it would load very, very poorly. And in the end it turned out that the problem was with Unity version. The version that we were using back then was probably 2017 something. And Unity added support for skeletal animation for this. They took basically Anima 2D, that was an asset for free asset for Unity. They changed some stuff, integrated it better, but it was still in preview, and it crashed the game. And we only found out this because it wasn't very fast back then in this version, and one of our programmers just turned off animators on the grass. There's a lot of this grass there, and he just turned this off so it could run this faster, because in the Unity editor, it slows down because there's some other stuff that are working there as well. And then he forgot to turn this off and make a build, and then bam, it works, right? And that's how we found out. Other bugs, for a long time we had a funny bug where the enemy was investigating like source of the sound or the smell, and he started playing his animation. It's not his animation, it's usually something like and the scream, but without stopping, so he would just slide, like on ice, playing this animation. But we finally tackled that. There were some different situations when it occurred, but it was looking pretty funny. Zerosh is asking, is this Hunter League still a thing? Yes, it's still a thing, and the higher tiers on the Kickstarter will give you access to this closed community. This is the part of the community that will get access to the early access. It's not early access like on Steam, but some closed beta tests. And within this Hunters League, there's like a community within a community where you'll be able to get experimental builds probably later on as well. I think that will be the best way to tackle it. So even if the game will be released and we'll be planning like an expansion or just a patch, you will be the first one to get it, and probably you'll be so kind to post your opinions about that, right? You think that we completely broke the game or something like that? But yeah, it's still the thing. Any cheat codes? Of course we have cheat codes, Justin. Of course we have cheat codes. So I would have to play the game, but right now it's not the time for that. But in our builds you have F11, and then you can like finish the mission very quickly or fail the mission very quickly, instantly, or like give your hunters unlimited movement, unlimited or free abilities, and the free abilities cheat code is kind of funny because it works on everybody. So if you enable it and then end the turn, then the monsters just start hitting you constantly, even when you die. But yeah, it's a good way, to test stuff very quickly. And I think there was like a bug with it. Yeah, I think we had a bug. If something was enabled, there it broke something else, but I don't remember what it broke. Are you planning to make some interior missions, like inside dungeons, etc.? Yeah, we have, I believe, like 1 or 2 that are underground already in the game. And I would like to have some missions that would take that would play inside buildings, but we'll see. You know, there is like one mission that I would like to be played within the inn. This is one of the regions that we will visit in the game, but we'll see. You know, we'll see. Theoretically, it's not that hard to do this. Dungeons are easier, that's for sure. Buildings may be a little bit more tricky. Usually it's villages. We have some ruins in forests or just forests. We have some battlefields, old and new. What else? Some swamps, things like that. Recently I've added a lot of variations to the ground textures, you know, ground materials. So it would look nicer, and there will be a greater variety of the stuff. We also have a nice little option to add post processes for specific missions, so you can change the atmosphere of the mission quite significantly thanks to that. So if you are in the swamp, we can like add the tint of green to everything, so could increase, you know, the feeling of being in a toxic area. Justin asks, what kind of stealth elements are in the game? So first of all, enemies have cones of vision, so they don't see in 360 or anything like that. There is as a quick way to access something that we call within the team detective mode. This is a sixth sense, you know, that's how it will be called in the game. Every hunter has this special sense that will allow them to gain access to some additional information. You know, for the player, it's just additional information. Where exactly is this monster looking? Because you know, they have idols. So let me just pause here. So you can see, like, this guy is facing right and down, and this guy is facing left and up. So every monster has 3 directions of you know, the vision direction. But you know, this is a small detail, so we've added this detective mode, and you just tap spacebar on your PC and it will show you, you know, the vision count. So one of the ways to, you know, stay hidden is to avoid their vision. Another thing is the smell. This could also expose you, but probably in this trailer you won't be able to see this, because, you know, it was supposed to be a little bit cleaner, you know. But basically, stealth can expose. Even if the monsters won't see you, the monsters can smell you and then investigate the place of your hiding. When they'll be patrolling and they, you know, catch your scent, they can, you know, expose you. So we have vision, we have eyes, we have noses, and we have ears. And some of the abilities, some of the weapons are loud or are silent. So firearms are, of course, loud. They make a lot of noise, and especially the more expensive ones, the more powerful ones, will make more sound. So you know, other monsters can investigate the source of sound and they can spot you. So you need to be careful when shooting guns. Oh, here, just now there was an example of a harpoon. A harpoon is a quiet weapon. Stay quiet, right, and then stay hidden. There are some traps, stuff like that. Oh, and here we have this. So since the harpoon is a quiet weapon and this guy is looking that way and we are hidden in the bushes, you know, we can quietly take out a weaker enemy without alerting this guy. Doesn't see this. If this would be a rifle, like probably there was a clip with that in this trailer. Oh, here. With a rifle, you can see that even though this little fella didn't see him because he was hiding behind these barrels, he heard this. He would hear us, and I think he also sees him, because when you're shooting a gun you're losing your stealth. So even if you are sitting in the bushes and you use a very loud weapon, you're losing your stealth and you need to go back and hide again. So these are the basics. You need to keep an eye on their sight. You need to keep an eye on your smell. Here in the corner of the screen we have this weapon widget, and this animation, you know, that goes, it shows the direction of the wind, right? This may slightly change, more or less, you know, depending on the weather condition. There are different weather conditions that can change the statistics. You know, if it's windy, you know, your smell will travel faster. Your hunters have actually even a statistic of smell. Let's see, where is this equipment screen? Forge alliances, manage hunters. Okay, so somewhere here. Statistics of the hunter, like level, health, stamina, movement, and here it is still. In this footage there wasn't an icon for that, but that's smell. And the basic smell stat for a hunter is 3, so like 3 hexes. There's like a flag of this smell, and if monster catches this, he will investigate. But if you start bringing some stuff like firearms, this can increase this length of this, so it will be more easily detected by smell and the weather. So you need to be careful, right? Because when there's windy, the smell statistic will be increased. When there is foggy, everybody sees a little bit on a shorter distance, and so forth and so forth. You know, I think that there are like 6 different weather conditions. Some of the missions will have it like set up from the beginning, but anything like optional missions, random missions that may occur, this will be randomized. So there is no 2-hit chance in the game, right? If you have a guy and you want to shoot him, you know how much damage you will deal, but there are other factors that are randomized. Every hunter can now equip 2 weapons. Here, 2 slots, right? You can have a large weapon and a small weapon. So you may switch this, right? The standard crew that will go on the mission are 3 hunters. So you can you know, equip them the way that they can complement each other, or you can create some kind of a synergy between them. Because, you know, here the build, you know, that in RPGs is usually your character. Here, like, the party is the build, right? You can equip these 2 weapons. Charms, which are like, they work like armors in other games. They can change your statistic and your resistances to damages, and then there are items. Items are like usable, so throwing grenades, throwing knives, things like that. Like here, right, we have a grenade, and bam, right, you can hit 3 enemies at once. This is pretty standard frag grenade. There are other stuff, there are some magic. We have here is an example of magic. This is an item called Spider's Gaze, and this deals a little bit of spirit damage. and immobilizes target. There are some damage types in the game, and different enemies may be resistant to these damages. So you need to, experiment with your build. With time you get to know your enemies better. You know what works better or worse, and you can adjust. And with time you get more and more items. Working for these great houses that I was talking about will give you more items. This is like one of the best ways to, increase the number of items in your armory. By the way, I remember some old artwork from the first Kickstarter showing hunters with dogs. Are you planning having dogs in the game? Not on our side. This artwork was not even with hunters, it was with like our human, how to call them, henchmen. But no. Hunters are not using dogs. Are you in the game as a character? Not on these missions. Just not on these missions. You are like the commander, leading, but not leading from the front lines. Okay, any more questions? Because there's only 6 of you. I know this is not as exciting as I would play in this game, but next week we will. This was just to touch bases with you, answer your questions. But next time we'll play some actual game. If you want to, on the main campaign page there is this 2-hour. I know it's long, 2-hour video where I play. With some of Alder's Blood with Dave and Camille, and I played the latest build with some of the changes. I talk a little bit about how we've changed the system of stamina, movement, and things like that. So you can go back there and take a closer look. But as I said, on Friday we'll try to play the game. Back then it was just showing you how things work, so it usually ended up in screwing my hunters, just to show you what would be the effect, right, of the decisions that I make there. Okay, so wait for your questions a little bit, and then I think we'll wrap this up. I'll reply to some comments on the Kickstarter in the meantime. Very close to 7,000, guys. Looking very good. 251 backers. Next week, you know, considering the campaign, Kickstarter campaign, next week we'll add some social goals that hopefully will give some boost, you know, to the campaign. But, you know, this is just the beginning and we are halfway through, so all looking very nice. Alright, so if you don't have any questions, I'll just wrap this up, and I would like to invite all of you to Friday. We'll let you know at what hour. We'll play some Alder's Blood. We'll try to play it, you know, the way it should be played, without fooling around. We'll see how the latest changes work, right? And we'll let Dave play, so it won't be like Dave playing his own game. It will be more about someone who is a fan of tactical games. He's close to the development, but he's not a dev, so it won't be so biased, right? And yeah, that's it. So next week some cool stuff incoming from us in different aspects. So if you like it, I guess you do, because you're probably all packers right now, right? Spread the word, you know. If you're a Reddit user, you may write a comment, because you know Reddit, right? Nobody likes advertisements there. And if we write this, like our publisher already wrote a post there, and it was not so well received. So if you really think this could work, this could be something that would be nice, maybe you could post this, you know. This will be received way better for sure. I will be super grateful for that. And that's really it, you know. Just spread the word, tell your friends, tell your family, you know, anybody that could be interested in back in the game. That would help us greatly. Alright, so thank you for staying with me. I know that was a little bit boring, it was not as excited, but next time it will be better. I promise you that. And see you on Friday, right? See you on Friday. If you have some questions that, I don't know, you forgot to ask, you just, you know, got an idea for the question, there is an AMA channel on our Discord, or discussion section, whatever, right? Whatever you need. I'm usually there. I won't be tomorrow, but yeah, I have my phone, so I can check. Yeah, you can reach me always on Twitter. I'm also quite active on Twitter if you want to ask me something, but these two channels are the best. Twitter and Discord. Discord probably better because everybody else can see it. Alright, so thank you again. Thank you for the support so far. Thank you for this 57% that we have right now. And see you on the next one, right? Bye.